I feel the weight of barriers.
All right, folks, well, welcome back to the Here We Grow radio show. I am your host, Michael Foguth of Foguth Financial Group, who is a proud sponsor of the Here We Grow show. And again, for those tuning in during the morning commute or maybe your first cup of coffee, I want to remind each and every one of you that every single show, including this show, is available in its entirety on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Apple, whatever it may be. So make sure you go there, you like, subscribe, and you make sure you follow up on each one of these episodes, as we cover a lot of stuff during a very short period of time. So if you have questions from today's show, please email into us, give us a note, give us a call, because today's guest is one of my favorite, and Tom may or may not even remember this, but we brought you out here to Michigan, and the last time that you were here, we had a ton of questions. So folks, for tuning in today, if you have questions, we're going to cover a lot of great stuff. Please email in or give our office a call, because we'd love to be a resource for you. So with all of the housekeeping stuff out of the way, today's guest is Mr. Tom Hegna. Tom is, I want to say, an avid golfer, right? We were talking a little bit about golfing before, but I'm telling you, he is the guru. He is the expert. His books out there are literally the best resource for you. And again, many people may know him from his PBS show. I know I've watched that a few times myself. Former senior executive officer at New York Life, retired lieutenant colonel, economist, and has delivered over 5,000 seminars to help baby boomers and seniors retire in the most effective and optimal way. So, Tom, with all of that being said, thank you for being on the show. And let's just jump right in here and maybe tell people the difference between a paycheck and a playcheck.
Well, thank you, Michael, for having me, and thank you all for joining us today. Well, look, the paycheck in retirement will cover your housing, your food, your clothing, your cell phone, your internet. Those are the bills that must be paid every single month. And what math and science says, because retirement's been studied in depth by PhDs all over the world. Dr. David Babel of Wharton, Dr. Moshe Milevsky of Toronto, Dr. Menachem Yari of Israel, Dr. Michael Finken, Dr. Wade Pfau, Dr. Robert C. Merton, Nobel Prize winner. And what they all say is that paycheck should be covered with guaranteed lifetime income. And then for the playcheck, the travel, the cruises, the golf, the fun stuff, that can be funded with stocks and bonds and real estate and those types of things. So, and I think we saw that during the pandemic, because, people would say, oh, I don't need guaranteed lifetime income, I got real estate. Well, yeah, how's that working when renters don't have to pay rent and landlords can't evict them? Or they say, oh, I do laddered bonds. How do laddered bonds work with a 10-year treasuries at 1.4%? Or they'd say, I'll do dividend paying stocks. Well, hey, I love dividend-paying stocks. I own them, but over 600 companies slashed or eliminated their dividends. And then people say, "Oh, I'll do municipal bonds." Well, municipal bonds have been on the cover of Barron's magazine like 3 times in the last year and a half, because during this COVID, expenses went up, revenue went down, and some of these municipal bonds may not be able to pay their payments. So, that's why you need to have guaranteed income to cover that paycheck.
It's exactly right. And we talk so much about this, and I love the book. I mean, your books, Paychecks and Playchecks, I've loved it. Cover to cover. It's phenomenal, because you're right. You can't go to bed every single month saying, okay, well, if they slash this dividend and if they're not going to pay their rent, like, honey, how are we going to live? How are we going to do these things, right? Because you can't depend on others to put the food on your table. So huge difference between paychecks and playchecks. So thank you for that. And let's dive in a little bit to the retirement income, because look, I'll call you a retirement income master. I mean, that's used, the pros, the cons, and all these things that happen across the board. When we start to talk about paychecks and playchecks, and we talked about guaranteed income, where do people say, okay, what are sources of guaranteed income, to really break it down in the simplest format?
Yeah, so there are three sources of guaranteed lifetime income. The first source is Social Security. I talk about Social Security all the time. I show people how to maximize their Social Security benefits. But when it comes down to it, what is Social Security? It's a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life. The second source is a pension. But what is a pension? A pension is a lifetime income annuity. It's a guaranteed paycheck for life. So a retiree should figure out how much money do they need every month to cover all their normal bills. Social Security counts towards that. Pension counts towards that. But whatever somebody's short, they're supposed to go find an insurance company and buy some form of lifetime income annuity, again, to at least cover those basic living expenses, the paycheck. The playcheck could be invested in whatever they want, but the paycheck really needs to be in guaranteed lifetime income.
That's right. I mean, hey, up here in Michigan, I mean, the word pension is like, it's everybody's got it, right? I mean, we're the big three capital of the world. I was talking to somebody about that. Like when I deal with a client, a majority of them, the lady I just walked out of the conference room with, she has a pension. A majority of our clients have pensions, so they already know what guaranteed income is, and they love it, right? You ask somebody that gets a paycheck every 30 days, what's their favorite thing? They know. There's no doubt in their mind. The Social Security check comes, the pension check comes. That gives them the peace of mind to be able to do the things that they want to do. And so when we dig a little bit deeper into the Playchecks, right? I mean, again, we were joking about grease fees. We're talking, travel. We're talking about all those other things. I have so many clients that come in and say, listen, I want to have some Playchecks that are also going to be guaranteed because I want to know that I can go on that cruise. I can go on, see my grandkids. I can buy the Christmas. They want the guarantees, same thing for their play. Do you see that a lot when you're talking and dealing with people with wanting more play money in today's retirement?
Yeah, and just so all your listeners know, I don't sell any financial products whatsoever, and I don't get compensated on the sale of any financial products. But I own 11 annuities because I don't want just my paychecks guaranteed. I want many of my playchecks guaranteed as well. Now, I do invest in the market, and I do own some real estate, so I'm not against any of those things, but in the right spot. What I'm saying is the stocks and the real estate do not fit in the paycheck area. They fit in the playcheck area, but many people want some amount of playchecks guaranteed as well. They want to take a cruise a year, or they want to go on a trip every year, no matter what the market's doing, no matter what interest rates are doing, no matter who's in the White House. And that's what those guaranteed paychecks and playchecks allow you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too. It's one of those things where you want to know that you can go on that trip every single year. And I always tell my clients, the best time to travel is when nobody else is traveling, right? And when you're retired, you can do that. If the market's down and people, I hate to say they're losing jobs and they're not doing a lot of leisurely things, that's the best time to go because nobody else is going to be there and you can get a good deal on your trip. So, making sure that you have those things in place. And really real quick, right before the break, I wanted to touch on this because it has so much to do with income and you being the master of income and guaranteed income and all that fun stuff. The big thing out there right now that people are concerned about is inflation, right? And what is the inflation impacting? Because it's impacting their income. What do you think that's going to take place from a standpoint for a retiree specific?
Well, step number 4 in my 7 steps to retirement securities, you must plan for inflation. And even though I honestly believe the world is still in a deflationary economy, I'm not on this huge inflation thing because the 30-year government bond is just right at 2%. And if inflation was really coming heavy, we'd see that higher. But people need to know that in a retirement, inflation can decimate purchasing power. And even in times of deflation, there's inflation. I mean, I don't think the price of healthcare is going down. I don't think the price of college is going down. I don't think the price of a lot of things is going down. And so you've got to plan to have increasing income in retirement. There's really 3 ways to do it. You can buy an annuity that every year the paycheck increases by 3 to 4 to 5%, or you can invest the rest of your money. Once you have your paycheck covered, you can invest the rest in stocks and real estate that typically in times of inflation will go up. So there's more money to take out more money, or people can do what I've done. I bought an income annuity that kicks in when I turn age 60. I bought another one that kicks in when I turn 62. I bought another one that kicks in when I turn age 65. I bought another one that kicks in at age 70. So I'm guaranteed to have increasing income for the rest of my life. And those are the ways that I'm protecting myself against inflation.
All right. Well, Tom, I appreciate that. Folks, we were talking a little bit about inflation and paychecks. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a very, very quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into how you can then set yourself up not to run out of income in your retirement. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
When times get tough, who do you have on your team? At Foguth Financial Group, we win by helping you achieve the retirement you've always dreamed of. Clients who work with Foguth Financial Group know they are backed by a solid, experienced, and winning team. It's time to choose your team. Choose the team from Foguth Financial Group, a team of champions. Foguth Financial Group, building our team to be a part of your team.
All right, folks, well, welcome back to the Here We Grow show. Again, I am your host, Michael Foguth, and today's guest is Mr. Tom Hegna, who is the author, the speaker, the guru. I call him, the man, the myth, the legend, if you will, when it comes to income planning. And this is somebody that Tom's been here to our office a few years ago. I've seen him on TV. He's done over 5,000 presentations, and they're all about your retirement and how to set yourself up for success in retirement. So, Tom, real quick, before we jump into a little bit more of this stuff, I know that you gave retirement a shot, right? And was looking at doing that. I was thinking about you this morning when I was talking to a client. just retired, and he said the only thing that's really changed for him, because it's so recent, is he spent more time on the golf course, but he said it still doesn't feel real yet. What would you give somebody out there from a personal experience of how to kind of emotionally and financially ease themselves into this new stage of their retirement journey?
Yeah, well, as you know, I did a trial retirement a couple years ago because I wanted to see, could I really retire? So I blocked off my whole summer. I didn't travel. I joined a golf club up in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I just wanted to see, could I enjoy it? And I loved it. I loved it. We went boating at Lake Powell. I played golf, got my handicap the lowest. I won the club championship. I'm the oldest club champion in course history. I mean, so I'm not one of those guys who doesn't have a life, My wife went to church this weekend. I had a golf outing, but the pastor was talking about how suicide rates among men above age 65 has just been soaring because these men get out of corporate America. They were very important. People needed them. Then they get into retirement. Nobody needs them anymore, and they have no other life. And they just either die or they kill themselves. And I'm not one of those guys. I got lots of stuff going on. I play tennis. I play pickleball. I'm active in different things. I'm playing golf. And so what I would encourage people before you take that leap to retire, really maybe try a trial retirement and just see, because I think everybody's different. I still do virtual events. I'm not doing a lot of things on the road anymore, but I still stay very active and I'm doing the things that I want to do. And that's what retirement's supposed to be. It's the stuff you want to do. That if you want to travel, like my wife and I now put together a bucket list, and now, we're going to do Panama Canal cruise. That's on mine. Then we're going to go over to Israel and Jerusalem and all that. That's on hers. And so we're going to knock out these things on our bucket list as well. We just went to San Antonio on the Riverwalk. She'd never been there. I've been there several times. I said, Laura, you should really go there. I mean, it's awesome. And, we rode the boat and we had dinner out every night. And so that's what retirement is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a time of freedom and doing all the things that you want to do.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important because so many people, and again, I was talking about this at dinner the other day with some friends, the identity of somebody when they're working, 9 out of 10 times, if you go and introduce yourself to somebody that's working, what happens? Hi, my name is Mike, and this is what I do. Yep. Hi, my name is Tom, and this is right. You hand somebody a business card, and that's in relative relationship to your business, of your identity. So the emotional side of things, right? And I talk so much about this in meeting with clients, and I love your books, Tom, so much because there's so much technical stuff in them, but at the same time, there's a lot of emotional side of things of like, these things are going to change. Like when you don't get a paycheck every 30 days, now when you stop working, folks, and this may not be a shocker to you, your company most likely is not going to give you a paycheck unless you're fortunate enough to have a pension. But even to Tom's point, that pension may not cover everything. So the emotional side of things is really going to take a toll on people. So what other advice would you give to somebody that's maybe retired or looking at retirement from an emotional side with their income and having guaranteed income and setting those things up to be comfortable?
Well, let me talk about what I call psychonomics, because I talk about math and science and economics, but I've been talking more about psychonomics. And what I mean by that is your listeners every 2 weeks, their entire working career, just like you said, got a paycheck. And when they got that paycheck, they paid for their house, they paid for their car, they went on trips, they bought stuff. They got and spent a paycheck every 2 weeks, their entire working career. They never had a problem with that. But then I asked people, when was the last time you took 200 grand out of your 401k or your IRA? Oh no, we can't do that. We got to save it. We got to grow it. We got to protect it. We can't touch it. Okay, you do that for 45 years. Do you honestly think on your 65th birthday, you're going to wake up and say, by golly, I'm going to blow my 401k today? You can't do it. See, people have been psychonomically programmed not to touch their money. And that's the problem in retirement. See, most seniors are not enjoying the retirement they're entitled to. They're living what I call a just-in-case retirement. And I'd say that, they got this money, but they don't touch it. And I'd say, wait a minute, you told me you were going to join the country club. You're going to buy a new boat. You're going to see the world. Have you done that yet? They say, no, because interest rates are so low. The market's so volatile. Bitcoin crashed. And so they don't touch their money. They don't touch their money. They don't touch their money. Then they die. What happens to money? Goes to the kids. What do the kids do with it? They join the country club. They buy a new boat. They go see the world. And what I say is, I want you to do that. You're not supposed to leave money to your kids. You're not. You're supposed to spend all your money. You're supposed to leave life insurance to your kids because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. So if you bought a policy to go to your kids, now you have the license to spend all of your money. And that is what you're supposed to do.
And that's exactly right. And, you get me all excited and fired up because now I'm thinking taxes too, right? I'm going, oh my goodness, I'd rather my kids get my life insurance because that's tax free. If I leave them my 401k or my IRA, oh my gosh, now we got all these taxes. Right? We had Ed Slott on the show the other day, and Ed and I were talking about, my goodness, the ticking time bomb that are of taxes, right? And to your point, I love life insurance. Not everybody is a big fan of it, but listen, where else, to your point, can you give pennies on the dollar to leave your children, your grandchildren, your loved ones, your heirs, tax-free money?
Yeah. So Mike, let me use me as an example, because we got 4 kids, and one day we're sitting around saying, how much should we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids beneficiary, when we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax-free. That's $250,000 a piece tax-free plus whatever's left over. I said, let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids beneficiary. That policy is completely paid up. The total cost of that $1 million policy was $150,000. So now think about that. For 15 cents on the dollar, we get to transfer $1 million tax-free to our kids. But the best part is, who gets to spend the other $850,000? We do. And so I encourage people, spend your money. Look, what are you trying to be? The richest person in the cemetery? See, I made a decision. I don't want to be the richest person in the cemetery. I want to have the fullest life. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to have the fullest life I can have in retirement, not be the richest guy in the cemetery, and leave my kids tax-free money via life insurance. That's the way we're doing it.
Oh, so it's to your point, it's all psychological, right? I mean, talking to these people every single day, it's hard. I think we're, to your point, we're programmed to be savers. I mean, everyone says, who's your client? I said, my client's the millionaire next door. They have enough income coming in. They have a ton of money. They don't know how to spend it because they've been programmed for 30 years. And to your point, you just don't drive around town and say, okay, who's got the most expensive gas, right? Oh, I got all this money, I'm just going to go. No, they don't waste their money, right? They're programmed. And so when we start to see those people, walk us through a little bit more, and I know you go really deep into your book, and what I want to do is, in this next segment, dive a little bit deeper into these books. But before we go into that, what other advice would you give to those people out there that are afraid to spend their money?
Look, 2 things. You're not getting any younger, and you don't get to take any of it with you. Look, I lost my dad 2 years ago. I lost my mom this year. I lost my best golfing buddy at age 56. So I kind of seen real quick, this isn't a forever deal. I figure if I'm lucky, I've got 20, 25, 30 years left. I don't know. You could get hit by lightning tomorrow, but and so this isn't a forever deal. And so the annuity allows you to spend your money because you'll never run out. It's the only product you can buy that will guarantee you will never, ever, 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 ever run out of income. See, the problem is you don't know when you're going to die. But the deal is the insurance company does. Now, they don't know exactly when you're going to die or I'm going to die, but they know exactly when 1,000 people are going to die. And they know that 500 of those people are going to die before the other 500. And because of that, they can pay everybody a higher payout rate because they know they're only going to have to pay that to half the people. And that's the secret. That's the mortality credits, the extra money that you get from these annuities. That's why the payout rate is so high. And so it's the only product you can buy that will guarantee you'll never run out of money. And that's why you need to have at least a portion of your retirement portfolio into guaranteed lifetime income.
I love it. Well, listen, folks, we're going to take one last break before we come in and wrap up the show. Tom, when we come back, I'm going to do some quick hitters. I'm going to throw you out some questions, give these people some take-home advice that they can do to, again, folks, the goal is to better your retirement. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
5 free webinars at tomhegna.com/webinars. You don't need a credit card or anything. So you can just go there. You can watch these. All right. There's one on how to sell more life insurance. There's one on how to sell more annuities. That's the 7 simple stories that sell. There's one on how to thrive in a post-lockdown environment. I'd encourage you to start there. Watch that one first. There's one on handling objections, and there's one on how to deliver powerful webinars. So those are 5 free webinars at tomhegna.com/webinars.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Here We Grow radio show. I'm your host, Michael Foguth of the Foguth Financial Group, and we have world-renowned income specialist, if you will, Mr. Tom Hegna. Tom, I got to ask you this before we go into this. You mentioned you got your handicap the lowest possible. Where are you at today? What are you sitting at?
3.9, which is the lowest. I mean, I started a couple of years ago at 10, and I've been working it down. And the problem is when you get it down, then you don't get any pops on any of these tournaments, and I can't win money anymore. I can't win anything, but it's fun to play good golf.
It's awesome, and you got beautiful courses out there in Arizona. So, all right, what I want to do in this last part of the segment is just do some quick hints of giving people some tactical advice or maybe some things. And again, what I want to do is I know that you got a lot of great resources out there on your website. I want to be able to, for folks that want to dig in deeper and get a little bit more personal, I want to give away some of your books. So for folks out there that are listening, I'm going to purchase some of Tom's books that are out there. And when we talk about these questions, maybe throw out the book a little bit. So when somebody calls in, I want to make sure we give them the right book. Okay, that comes out there. So we're going to get some books from you. And I know we have a ton even still from the last time, but I want new books to give to the people that are calling in off of the show. First question that I have, how can people right now mitigate or even protect their income from taxes? Let's talk about taxes for a second.
Well, I'll just say what I've done. I have converted my IRAs and 401ks to Roth. Okay. And that doesn't mean I don't pay taxes. That means I pay taxes up front, but I believe these are the lowest taxes I will likely see for the rest of my life. So I've converted, and many of those, by the way, are into income annuities. So those will be tax-free income for the rest of my life. I've also moved a bunch of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance, because cash value life insurance is one of the only places you can put money that grows at a pretty good rate that you can take out tax-free in retirement. And so I've set it up so that I'll get a very nice tax-free check every month through my life insurance. So those are the tools I'm using.
It was funny. Ed calls it tax insurance. He goes, how many people like to buy tax insurance? I was like, well, tell them what that means. It means your taxes will never go up. If I could tell you right now today that your taxes will never increase, what would you say? It's like, hey, if I guarantee your car insurance will never increase, what would you say? Sign me up for that deal, right? And my home insurance never increases, tax insurance. I love that you said that. All right. When we keep going and we look here and we talk a little bit more in depth about income, what is a listener able to do? And we talk about a QCD in retirement income. I just did one yesterday. I love that this question on here for us. What is a QCD? And should people look into maximizing their QCDs?
Yeah, I mean, that has to do with a qualified charitable donation or deduction. And so I believe that most people want to give money to charity. I do. It's a biblical principle to tithe, and everything. But each person is different on what they want to give to charity. And that is one of the techniques that is used by estate planners, people like yourself, that can help people get a great deduction and live a great life. And so what you're doing is basically you're kind of giving away your IRA or 401k money that would otherwise be taxed very heavily to you, and you're getting a great deduction on that. And so I would really leave those questions up to you.
Okay. And so folks, what a QCD, qualified charitable distribution, is you're able to take money out of your IRA after 72, you got to be 72, and then you send it directly to your charity of choice. Church just did one yesterday. This guy and his wife, they had 7 different charities that they give money to. And all of those accounts, that's a deduction above and beyond your standard deduction. So if you're not doing QCDs and you know somebody or you are over 72, make sure you look at those. All right, let's talk about a younger listener real quick, Tom. If a listener is younger, maybe in their mid-20s or 30s, how can they start again? I think this is the best opportunity to plan their portfolio to reduce the taxes, because what we're seeing now today, to your point, we're at the lowest tax bracket probably in history. More likely, can't guarantee, but more likely to go up. What would you tell a 20 or 30-year-old to do?
Look, they've got time on their side. And if they can start Roth IRAs, and there's Roth 401ks, if you can do that Roth side, I mean, you're going to be ahead of the game. Yes, you don't get the tax deduction going in, but you get tax-free income on the other way. Also, if you can buy a very large, permanent life insurance policy when you're in your 20s and 30s, it's very inexpensive. I waited till I was 50 to buy a really, really big one. And I wish I would have bought that when I was in my 20s, and so get that permanent life insurance, lock in those low premiums, get it where you can put extra money into the policy later, because as you make more money, you're going to want to put extra money in there so that you get even more money out tax-free. So those would be a couple of things that I would say.
Right. And I love that you say that. To me, it's just planning for the future, right? And what so many people miss is they're thinking I got to plan financially to the future. And you absolutely do, but don't miss the most important step. And we're talking about, the silent partner. I mean, Uncle Sam's going to come in. He has no problem taking 20, 30, 40%. If your kids inherit an IRA, it might be 50+%. Plan those taxes just as much as you're planning financial. So, all right, let's talk about, a listener out there right now that needs to look at diversification, because so many people come into our office. That's it, right? That, you mentioned a lot of other things. Should a listener diversify their investments in their retirement, or should they do the same thing that they've been doing their whole lives?
Well, you just can't retire the same way that you built your retirement. See, saving for retirement is very different than being in retirement. Saving in retirement is all about diversification, asset allocation, average rates of return. All that's very important when you're building a portfolio. But once you're in retirement, average returns mean nothing because of sequence of returns risk. The only thing that matters is the order or sequence of those returns. And diversification is important, but you don't want to diversify. You want to diversify, and there's a difference in that. And then you need different tools. You need to retirement is not about your pile of money or what rate of return are you getting this year. That's not what retirement's about. Retirement is about two things. Number one, how much guaranteed lifetime income do you have coming in? And then have you handled and mitigated the retirement risks? Have you mitigated market risk? What happens if the market goes down 50%? You don't want to lose 50% of your money. What happens if we have inflation? What happens if we have a deflation? What happens if they raise your taxes? What happens if you need long-term care? What would happen if you died? You got to look at all those things. And that's why, Michael, I think it's so important for people to work with a financial professional like you, because, retirement is not a do-it-yourself project. You don't do your own dental work in your garage with your drill set. And I don't think you got to be doing your own retirement planning either.
There's no do-overs, right?
No do-overs.
There's no do-overs. You got one shot at doing it. So as we wrap things up, and I appreciate your time so much, I want listeners, I'm big on education. I want them to be able to educate themselves. And again, I talked a little bit about the books. Will you just maybe give us a quick overview or one or two of the books? And so as people are listening, I want you listeners out there to raise your hand, say, yeah, I want to learn more about that, because Tom's book, I'm telling you, they're easy reads, they're technical, but they're emotional at the same time. Tell me a little bit about a book or two, so when people call into the show, they can educate themselves better about what we've talked about today.
Sure. And I have a free YouTube channel as well if they want to, look at the YouTube. I got hundreds of videos out there. But Paychecks and Playchecks was my first book. That's really the math and science behind a successful retirement. It goes deep into risks in retirement, and then it covers very good life insurance, annuities, long-term care insurance, and those types of solutions. Don't Worry, Retire Happy. That was a PBS TV special that played in 80 million homes in the US and Canada. That's broader. It covers having a plan, working with a financial professional. How do you find that financial professional? How do you maximize your Social Security benefits? Hybrid retirement, working part-time in retirement can help a lot. Protecting yourself against inflation, having guaranteed lifetime income, having a plan for long-term care, using your home equity wisely, and using life insurance as the most efficient way to pass wealth. So that one's broader. Paychecks and Playchecks is a little deeper.
Okay. And I appreciate that. So folks out there listening, as we wrap the show up here, if you want a copy of that book, call the office. We'd love to give you a free copy. And Tom, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Always a wealth of knowledge. And folks, we literally just scratched the surface. So do go to his YouTube channel. It's awesome videos. You're very charismatic and they're very fun to watch. So sometimes in financial, it can get a little bit snoozy, but I'm telling you, you're probably one of the best out there to keep the energy up every single time and really engaging to the people. So thank you so much for the time. And folks, please let us know if we can help you with anything that we've covered today. So Tom, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.